Determine whether the definite integral from -2 to 0 of 1 over x converges or diverges. And if it converges, determine the value. The language here tells me that this must be an improper integral, because otherwise we would just say compute the value. Now, since there's no infinities, this must be a type 2 improper integral. Okay? And so I need to figure out, well, where is the infinite discontinuity here? And our function is 1 over x, so it's not that hard to see. You've likely seen a graph for 1 over x. Looks a little something like this. The problem's going to occur at 0. Okay, what we're asking for is from -2 down to 0. Does this area here actually exist? Does it have meaning? Is it finite? Okay, or does the function just grow too quickly? So we can see, and if we couldn't, we could say, well, it's a rational function, 1 over x. The only time it's going to have problems, the only time it's going to have vertical asymptotes is when that x is equal to 0. So that immediately tells me where the problem is. Okay. Now, we can't just treat this like a definite integral. We can't just use an antiderivative and plug values in. Okay. Think about y for a moment. Okay. You'll say, well, ln absolute value, you plug in 0. Ln of 0 isn't a number. So that's not going to work. I mean, you can try it, but it's not going to work. Infinity is not a number. We can't treat it as such. So what do? We get ourselves a limit. So 0 is the problem. We're going to approach 0 from below, or from the left side. Okay. And now that we have t being a nice proper real number, this is a good definite integral, now we can integrate and plug numbers in. Okay, so we get ln absolute value of t minus ln absolute value of -2. Okay, now the minus ln absolute value of -2, that's just going to be a nice constant value. So I'm going to separate that off and just say, well, it's ln of 2. Okay? That's not really what we're worried about. We're worried about what's going on in here. Okay, so let's focus. Does this limit exist? Okay, does it converge to a value, or does it go crazy? So let's talk our way through it. Okay? As t approaches 0 from below, t is going to be a very, very small negative number. Absolute value of t, which is the next thing we do to t, will be getting small as well, but it's going to decidedly be a positive number. So we're still approaching 0, but we must be approaching it as a positive number. Okay. Now ln, well, if the things I'm plugging into ln are approaching 0 from the right-hand side, okay, ln tends to -infinity. So this limit here does not exist. Okay, and so the whole thing kind of collapses. Okay. So this diverges, let's say. And we don't need to work out a value because we don't assign it a value in this case. And we're all done.